Hey, it's Toby from school. I hope you're safe and well wherever you are. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the way in which language works, specifically the way in which shape and sound work in language. So by the end of today's session, you're going to have a better idea as to how that stuff works. So the first thing that I'd like to do is to grab a pen and a bit of paper, and I'd like you to write this down. Okay. Great. So hopefully you all have written this down. And we'll come back to that in just a moment. So I've been a teacher for many years, and when things really started working for me as a teacher was when students really started to understand how to write and think about language. And it's when I started utilising a system, okay? So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today, this system of how to think and write about language. So again, I'm going to ask you to write something down again, or rather to draw something. And the thing that I want you to draw is this. It is a triangle, I recognise, and arguably not much to do with English, but I'd like you to draw that, okay? Take perhaps about half a page. So a triangle with two lines across the middle. So what I'd like you to do, please, is in the chat, I ask you to write something down right at the beginning. Before the triangle, can you write down in the chat what it is, what I've asked you to write down? Have a look at it, and in the chat, please write down what you think it is. Okay, so back to our triangle again. So this is a triangle, and really it's at the heart of our system to write about language. And there are three parts to it. And those three parts are the following: image, shape, and sound. So what I'd like you to do, please, is add those titles into your triangle. So I've asked you to tell me what that is. I'm just waiting in the chat for a couple of comments, and then we'll get back to it. But meanwhile, on your paper, please write down image, shape, and sound. Okay, so image, shape, and sound is the method that will help you get the very best grades in your GCSEs and really help you start to think about the way in which language works. Okay, so we're going to look at this word again. I wonder if you can tell me what that is in the chat, because obviously if it's anything, it fundamentally is not an animal. And this really is the absolute point about language, is that that word there is not an animal. It is no more an animal than an apple or an orangutan. That is simply a word. It's a word that we attribute to the animal, and it is initially designed to somehow represent the thing itself, okay? So the word has aspects that imitate the animal. It should be quite clear to you which aspects imitate the animal, and it's specific really to its sound. Snake sounds like an animal. So you've got that sibilant S at the beginning, and we'll come to that in just a second, but we've also got this harsh consonant sound in the middle of the letter. And that consonant sound and that sibilant sound actually means something. And this really is the foundation to all language, that we use sound as human beings to reflect what something means. And the S and the K in the word snake mean something. That S is suggestive of danger. It's suggestive of fear. When we hear that s sound in our lives, it could be because we're perhaps making too much noise, and it's a sound that perhaps makes us quiet. So it's a sound that could perhaps induce a degree of shock, a degree of fear, and it's a really dangerous sound. And that K sound in the middle of the word almost appears like surprise. The animal itself, how it hunts, apart from if you've watched too much Harry Potter, which my daughter perhaps might have done, they generally lie in wait. They generally wait to attack their prey. And there's something about the word snake that imitates the danger of the animal and its surprise. So language is designed to give us an impression of the world around us and to give us information about things. Okay? Now, I recognise this isn't the traditional way to understand and learn about English, but it's a really great way of understanding that language is a system of representation. And if you can start to write about language in this way, you're going to really show your teacher, your examiner eventually, that you really get it. And more important than examination is that you'll understand it and you'll get it. Okay, so the word snake has that sibilant S at the beginning and that plosive K in the middle of the word, which is there to act as a kind of shock. So the first thing I'd like you to write down is this in your triangle. So underneath where you've written sound, I'd like you to write sibilance. And sibilance is the linguistic term that we call any sound that has that S sound, which is S, the soft C, the Z, the CH, and the SH. Okay, so copy that down, sibilance, SIBILANCE, and that's the soft S, the soft C, the S, the Z, the CH, and the SH. Okay, so what we're going to do over the course of the next few weeks, specifically in English, is I'm going to provide you with a toolkit. So this toolkit is divided into image, shape, and sound. And it's there to help you. So whenever you're confronted by English language, you're going to know how to unwrap it and what to write down. So that sibilant S sound, we're going to come to in just a second, and we're going to explore it when we look at a text. Sibilant S can mean danger. It can mean suspicion. If you think of the word there, suspicion, you can hear all those sibilant S's, and those sibilant S's in that context suggest danger, suggest fear, suggest suspicion. But sibilants, as with all sounds, also work in a completely different way. Sometimes the S sound is soothing. So when my son, who's 4, falls over, he might run to me and I might hug him and say, shh, 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 shh. And that shush sound calms him down. It imitates perhaps the sound that babies might hear in the womb. So sound has purpose and it has meaning, and often it's split in terms of its meaning. So in terms of its meaning. So in terms of the sibilants, you've got that danger and fear, but you've also got that calming and soothing sound. So today we're going to look at a text. It's one of my favourite texts, and in this text there's lots of sibilant sounds. So we're going to see it in practice. When I'm reading it, see if you can note down where that sibilance is. It might not be too obvious as it first appears, because of course this is all about a snake. This is going solo, or an extract of Roald Dahl's Going Solo, and it's a piece of text that I've read to many students over the years, and I'm going to read it to you. He stood there, absolutely motionless, watching the great black deadly snake as it glided so quickly over the gravel before him. Its small triangular snake's head was raised up in the air, and I could hear the soft rustling of the gravel as the body slid over the loose stone. So my question to you is, why has Roald Dahl, in this context, used the sibilance? So to recap, that's my question, and I'd really like you to write in the notes in the chat rather your answer to that question. Why has Roald Dahl used sibilance? Okay. So while I wait for you to answer that question, I just want to look at this text again, and we're going to look at where this sibilance is. Remember, in the chat, I want you to write down why you think he's used it. So there's a snake attack. There is a gardener, Salamoon. He's waiting to be bitten by this enormous black mamba. Okay, and have a look at where the sibilance appears. He stood there absolutely motionless. Well, there's sibilance there. Now, it might not feel like that's important, but it really, really is important. Roald Dahl, as with all writers, are using sound on purpose. It's not an accident. They're not just use any old word to write a story. They're using it on purpose. So he stood there, sibilance there, absolutely motionless, sibilance there too, watching the great black deadly snake, and there's our sibilant word there, as sibilance, as it glided so quickly, sibilance, over the gravel before him. Its small triangular snake's head was raised up in the air, and I could hear the soft rustling of the gravel as the body slid over the loose stones. So there's sibilance everywhere, and as Simon here has said, it adds image and feeling to the words, and it absolutely does. It does add image and feeling to the words, but it does something extraordinary as well. So the writer is probing us and testing us and really getting our senses alert for something. At the end of this scene, there is an amazing dramatic event, but he's getting our senses ready. We're hearing this repeated sibilance so that we can understand that, yes, there's a snake coming, but that what's happening is dangerous and that we almost should be afraid. There's also the sense with that amazing sibilance that we're being calmed, almost being shushed by Roald Dahl, so that we are in a state of, I suppose, quiet, like a bit like how I felt before I started this lesson, a bit sort of panicked, a bit quiet, and that's how Roald Dahl is trying to make us feel, just by using that sibilant sound. And it's amazing that that is actually how language works when we're talking about sound. And absolutely, that would have been going through Roald Dahl's mind when he was writing this part of his story. The other thing that he does, and we all do when we use language, is that we try to imitate the world around us using language. And words imitate things. The word snake imitates the animal, as I said before. But here, this is just amazing. I really think it's beautiful writing. Here we've got, throughout this amazing passage, we've got the sibilant S, and it's everywhere throughout this little short paragraph, and it's almost like you can hear the snake moving, the s, s, s in that first line. And my favourite part of this little extract comes at the end. I could hear the soft rustling of the gravel as the body slid over the loose stones. To my mind, it really is incredible that the snake is the roll dial is imitating the sound of the body of the snake over loose stones. So it's almost, that sibilance is almost intermittent. So that's how to write about and think about sound in language. And remember that these sessions are all about giving you a toolkit. So language is separated into image, shape and sound. And this is our toolkit that we're going to take to language. It's how to understand it. And as I've asked you before, if you haven't done so already, can you please write in the sibilants? The sibilant S, the soft C, the Z, the CH sound and the SH. And perhaps next to your triangle, you could write danger, fear, and perhaps you could write soothing as well. Yeah, exactly. So Kelly has written here, the snake is dangerous, and the sibilance shows that. Yeah, exactly. The snake is dangerous. Right. So I'm absolutely fascinated with the sound of language, and I'm fascinated that sound means. All sound has a meaning. And over the course of these sessions, we're going to be looking at that. Language works in three distinct ways: in image, in shape, and in sound. And I want to give as much to you today as possible to help you think about language. And the next thing I want to show you is the shape aspect. So I might be rattling through this quite quickly, so forgive me. It's my first time doing this. If you could write down in this second part of the triangle monosyllabic and polysyllabic. So this is the shape part of language, and if you could write down monosyllabic and polysyllabic. Do forgive me, that's my phone. I'm going to be quite rude and just hang up on a person. 2 seconds. I'll call you back. Hopefully they won't call back. It was a rather abrupt response. Anyway, so hopefully you'll, apologies for that, these things happened. If you could write down monosyllabic and polysyllabic. Okay, so monosyllabic, polysyllabic. So syllabic is to do with syllables. So words are, as I've said, a system of representation. They're made up of sound and also structure. And just like different sounds mean, so too do different structures of words. So monosyllabic words have one syllable. Polysyllabic words have many syllables. Mono, poly. Monosyllabic, a word with one syllable. Polysyllabic, a word with many. And again, they mean. So let's take the word complicated. So complicated has got 4 syllables in. Complicated. Difficult, also difficult. Extraneous, there's a beautiful word. Extraneous, 4 syllables. So words with polysyllables have a complexity to them. So in your triangle, can you write down underneath polysyllabic many syllables and also the word complicated, suggesting complexity or difficulty? And when it comes to monosyllabic, they have a different meaning also. So polysyllabic, many syllables, trying to think of some polysyllabic words. Interdimensional, there you go, there's a really complex word. Interdimensional, 6 syllables. It's really complicated. Its meaning is really complicated. When we hear lots of polysyllabic words, it gives us information that lets us know that the thing that we're reading about or hearing is complex. Also, when people use a lot of polysyllabic words, it tells you rather, as a listener, about them. Sometimes it tells us about their status. It tells us that they're intelligent. Monosyllabic words are just, if not more, powerful actually. So monosyllabic words have one syllable in. So they have one syllable in, and like punch, for example. Punch is a monosyllabic word. So too is fight. So too is love. So if we take the word punch, obviously it's got that very forceful, again, that plosive P sound at the beginning. But it's monosyllabic, telling us that the thing itself is forceful, is explosive, and is really dynamic. Short words have the potential, short monosyllabic words have the potential to appear powerful and dangerous and full of force, but also short, simple monosyllabic words have a simplicity to them. So the word love is monosyllabic and it conveys a simplicity, but obviously it's a deeply complicated thing, but love is perhaps simple. So too is the word fun. Fun is a monosyllabic word, but it conveys something that is simple. So just to recap then, guys, polysyllabic words are complicated and difficult, and monosyllabic words are simple or blunt and perhaps even explosive and powerful. Okay, let's have a look then at another of my favourite texts. I'm about to show you one of the stories in the Jungle Books by Rudyard Kipling. And this particular story is Rikki Tikki Tavi, which is a lovely story all about a very brave mongoose, Rikki. And in this little extract, we're introduced to a snake. And I just want you to be thinking initially about the structure of this little extract. Then inch by inch, out of the grass, rose up the head and spread hood of Nag, the big black cobra, and he was 5 feet long from tongue to tail. What I'd like you to do is in the chat, can you write down a powerful monosyllabic word from this little extract? So I'll read it again. Just pay attention to the structure of these words. Then inch by inch, out of the grass, rose up the head and spread hood of Nag, the big black cobra, and he was 5 feet long from tongue to tail. So let's see if you can write down a powerful word from this little extract. So throughout that little extract, you could, I'm sure, have seen that there was sibilance there too. Inch by inch, out of the grass, rose up the head, the spread hood, I'm not looking at the text right now, the spread hood of Nag, the big black cobra, and he was 5 foot long from tongue to tail. So throughout this, you can see these short monosyllabic words, and they're there to stress force and power, but also they stress other things. They stress the sense that the snake is moving forward in an impending way. Forgive me, in a step-by-step way. Of course, the snake doesn't have any feet, but there's a sense that he's moving a little bit at a time, that inch by inch. And equally, you can hear in inch by inch the beginning of that syllabic sibilance, the beginning of that sibilance pattern. You can hear it throughout. Have a look at the sibilance now. Here we've got inch by inch, out of the grass, rose up the head and spread hood of nag. So there's the beginning is all that sibilance, all that danger, all that fear. Then you've got the shape and structure of the impending, explosive and powerful snake that's coming ever closer. And we've got a comment here that's brilliant, that says that it's the spread hood of nag. So that's really interesting. We haven't talked about it quite yet, but sound in language operates in different ways. We've got that sibilance. I've mentioned a couple of times we've got that plosive, like in big black cobra. That's the explosive sound from B, P, D and T, that big black cobra. Plosives mean danger sometimes. But also we've got this word spread. So spread, we've got that sibilant S at the beginning to remind us that we're dealing with a snake. But then we've got this amazing elongated vowel that's spreading, just, in fact, it's imitating exactly what the cobra's head is doing. It is spreading, and that vowel, that EA sound in the word, is imitating what the snake is doing. So throughout this extract, we've got amazing use of sibilance, which is there in inch by inch, and grass and rose. We've also got, and spread I should say, we've also got that amazing monosyllabic pattern and that amazing series of monosyllables which stress the impending doom of the snake, inch by inch moving closer forward, and it is full of power and might and fury even. The thing that I really want you to take away from this first session is that language tries to imitate the world, and it tries to imitate the world in shape and sound. And we use language to represent things, but it is a code. It is a code that we do not yet fully understand. If we take the subject of English, it's a difficult subject to sort of break down. A lot of people say that the study of English is quite woolly, but actually, by that I mean a bit confusing, but actually I think the study of English is a science. Language operates in these three distinct ways, in image, shape and sound. And just like with any code, you need a system to be able to unlock it, to figure out how it works. So this system that I'm beginning to introduce you with now, this triangle system, the monosyllables, the polysyllables, and we're beginning with our sound analysis, this sibilance, is a way that you can solve the puzzle of language, because it needs to be solved. And that's how we should write about language. When we see text on the screen, or not on the screen, on the page in an exam, or we see text in our lessons, we should be able to write about those and talk about those aspects of language. You know, if you're accessing learning online at school and you see monosyllabic words, then suggest to your teacher, well, the writer's using monosyllabic words to stress or emphasize the bluntness. Or if you see a text that's got loads of sibilant sounds in and it's a dangerous text, you could say, well, the writer is using sibilance here to emphasize the fear and the danger that's posed by whatever. The point is, guys, that over the course of the point really is that language works in these three distinct ways. And over the course of lockdown, for as long as we can continue these lessons, we want to give you a toolkit, a code-breaking system. And this is the beginning of it now. So each week we are not each week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be running these sessions, and we want as many of you to participate as possible. Initially, the lessons are going to be conducted by myself, Toby, and my colleague Rebecca, and we're going to try and teach you everything that we know, everything we normally would teach in school. We want to give you this toolkit. We want to show you how language works, but we're not only just going to be talking about writing about text, we're also going to be telling you, or showing you rather, how to make amazing stories, how to write creatively, because you can access learning. We're online on YouTube and on the crowdfunder page. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to ask about anything that we've covered today, please get in touch and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube page, and please check out what we're trying to do on Crowdfunder. Again, if you've got any questions, please get in touch. Our design, really, the purpose in us doing this is to give you a code breaking system that will help you understand language and ultimately help you get the grades that you need. So we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's session, we're going to be talking all about the way image works in language, that first part of the triangle. So wherever you are, please stay safe and well, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Okay guys, all the very best. Bye.